My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. I have an absolutely free webinar coming up September 6th, Friday, September 6th, where I'm going to be talking about our power, our connection to the Vatican, our spiritual power interrelated to that, and our political and geopolitical power, a connection that maybe some of you maybe didn't even know that we had. Family, you all know that the media outlets are an extension of the imperialist, oppressive nations and systems of the world. Yes, it is impossible for nefarious, diabolical forces to operate without the assistance of their propagandistic partners, which include corporate and mainstream media, particularly in Western countries. Yes, I want you to keep in mind that I have been doing back-to-back coverage for quite some time now. It has been my, you all know that I'm known for covering legislators, congresspersons, officials concerning the agenda that they have for the Black diaspora. Yes, I'm known for covering those types of things. That's sort of my niche. So with that in mind, you know, I have been discussing the fact that the United States of America and her Western partners have been finding every reason to try to stay in these countries after being kicked out, particularly in the Sahel area and other Western countries, sub-Saharan countries, that region. You also understand that credible information, including government officials from some of these very nations, have testified to the fact and given reports that it is the United States of America, France, and others like them that directly sponsor these terrorist organizations. And certain Black credible journalists have also accused, and other entities have accused the West of actually creating these organizations. Yes, keep that in mind, because that is what they use to have an excuse to remain in these countries. Watch this very, very, very brief clip.
In Burkina Faso, a militant group with links to al-Qaeda has claimed responsibility for an attack that killed up to 200 people and injured 140. According to the Norwegian Refugee Council, attacks in Burkina Faso this year have killed more than 8,400 people.
Now, the clip that you just saw is actually from a news agency that is supposed to be, you know, somewhat fair. They have their own problems, to be sure, but they tend to do a little bit more fair coverage than most mainstream media outlets do. I wanted to just show you that because I wanted you all to know that they covered this, and multiple other mainstream media outlets on television and print media have been discussing Burkina Faso all at the same time. Whenever you see that happen in Western media, that means that there is an agenda. They're wanting to create this image of terror and show the entire world problematic issues that you have there, because they are planning some kind of agenda down the road to justify their presence. You understand? They want to be able to show you as helpless and incapable of governing yourself so that they can justify their reasons for coming there. Remember, I've already discussed the fact that the United States was resistant to leave. We know France was resistant to leave. We know that a former U.S. Navy specialist has bragged about the fact that we need to intervene in Africa because he said the Africans were incapable of governing themselves. We know that French former military folk have said that they are discovering ways to get back onto the continent. Yeah, so these are things that some of these folks are actually saying the quiet part out loud. Yes, because they're desperate for the resources there. They're desperate to keep a hold on the continent so that you never become a more than developing country, so that you never become a superpower, and also to keep out other countries like Russia and China, to whom America and the West considers to be anathema. You understand? You got to keep all of these moving parts in mind. Well, this particular piece that I'm reading with the headline says, Al-Qaeda kills hundreds in Burkina Faso attack. On Saturday, the Group for Support of Islam and Muslims, JNIM, Al-Qaeda's branch for West Africa, killed at least 200 people in the massive assault in central Burkina Faso. The strike took place in the vicinity of Barcelona, a locale not far from the city of Kaya, a large bastion outside of Burkina's capital. It goes on to talk about survivors and security officials and an unspecified number of JNIM fighters. One of the other pieces that I read also from Al Jazeera, in fact, discussed the fact that citizens and those that are volunteers were asked to dig ditches so as to thwart some of the forces, because it was alleged that there was going to be an impending attack and so forth. They brought up in the other media outlets that I was reading from, they were bringing up the citizens, they were bringing up children, they were bringing up women that were also attacked because there is the media wants to make the country look ungovernable. They wanted to make it look like a jungle so that when something happens there, nobody will blink an eye. Nobody will say, oh, they're there for the resources. Nobody will say, well, they did kick them out because of they didn't want them in their military there anymore. Nobody's going to be thinking about, oh, they can no longer exploit them and take up to 50% of and force them to work with our reserve banks and all this other kind of stuff so that France can continue to steal from them in broad daylight. You understand? Nobody's thinking about the fact that these countries are retaliating for kicking them out and embarrassing them in front of the whole world. Nobody's going to be saying, nobody's going to be worried about the fact and cognizant of the fact that Russia was actually, in fact, a partner to them to help with training and weapons and so forth, and that China is friendly to some of these countries as well, which causes some of them to be economically less dependent on Western forces economically. Yes. Nobody's going to be thinking about that. They're just going to say, oh, they look like they're the jungle. And so whatever you do over there, whatever the West does over there now, nobody will pay attention to, because they're thinking, no, that's why we're covering it here, beloved. And we stand with Burkina Faso and we pray your strength. We knew it was going to be a long battle. We knew. But in the end, we know that if we stick together as a family, we're going to win. America and the West, they know that their days are numbered and they're desperate. So they're doing everything they possibly can, not only in Burkina Faso, but certainly here in the United States in their own way, politically, economically, and otherwise. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. I have an absolutely free webinar coming up September 6th, Friday, September 6th, where I'm going to be talking about our power, our connection to the Vatican, our spiritual power interrelated to that, and our political and geopolitical power, a connection that maybe some of you maybe didn't even know that we had. You don't want to miss it. Go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com, VickiPlanet.com. I can't wait to see you again.